You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts, Uncle Mike Tusaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian and Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is Monday. Time to rock out with everyone's favorite bi-weekly source for all things options. Yes, it is time once again for the Option Block with the cool kids call the old OB, back in the Chi-Town studio and ready to rock. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the network upon which all of you folks are binging. Hope you're enjoying the gluttonous feast of content that has been pouring your way ever since the Options Industry Conference. If you're hanging out on the pro side, you already got, I think, most of it, if not all of it. I'll have to check and see exactly what's hit the pro side, but you get all of it early. You're getting a whole bunch of exclusives, too, that nobody else is getting, as well as, of course, exclusive shows. TheOptionInsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more as we learn who's joining us on the old program today. First, to the shores of Maine we go, where we are joined by the rockingest of lobsters, Mr. Andrew Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. And then we dial it back to the hinterlands of Chicago, where we are joined once again by the uncleest of Mikes. I dare you to find anyone uncler than him. Yes, the uncleest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike Tusaw from St. Charles Wealth Management. I introduce them now, listeners, because it's time for them to get their hands on their buzzers. It's time for dark business and dark deeds. It is time for the 80s Trivia Challenge. Here we go. Feeling hyped this morning. I had my coffee and a little bit of Coke Zero, so I guess the caffeine is striking, listeners. Let's strike while the iron is hot. All right, I'm holding up the card. They can see it if they're on video, listeners. They can't see the answers. I'm teasing the Rock, teasing both of them. All right, so our loser right now, I do believe, is still the Rock Lobster. Mr. Rock Lobster, pick your colors, sir.
No. He's in the lead.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I take it back. He's winning.
You know what? You just can't believe the reality.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't believe that that heaven and hell have swapped somehow.
I go away for a week or so, and everything's all topsy-turvy. When I get back, I don't know what to do with myself. All right, Uncle Mike, as our designated self-appointed loser, what color do you want today, sir?
You just set that up just so you could call me the self-appointed loser.
Maybe I did. Maybe I'm just that evil, sir.
I think you are.
I am the Gus Fring of this network. A callback to last week's shows there on Volviews on Friday. All right, Mr. Uncle Mike, pick your poison, sir. Remember, orange hasn't been going so well for you lately. I'm just putting it out there. You can guess it again, but I'm just saying.
Obscure sports, to say the least.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to do it, but let's do orange.
All right. Let's see if this the eighth time is the charm for Uncle Mike. All right. To orange we go. Remember, General. Well, you know what? Tell you what. We'll do an audio buzz today because it's hard to get everyone.
You could buzz in the Zoom chat room.
You can. Okay, we'll buzz there if you guys can both get yourself together.
I cannot find the Zoom chat room.
Okay.
Oh, here it is. Never mind. I got
There's
it.
a little chat window.
Bottom. There you go. Okay.
I got
You
it.
shouldn't have told him, Rock Lobster. You could have just cemented your lead.
You know, I want to win fair and square.
All right, here we go.
He just did wrestling trivia for 2 years against me and thought it was okay, but that's all right. You know, I'm going to be the bigger man.
All right, Uncle Mike, maybe you have a chance at this one. Here we go. Orange. What strength testing world championship is held every October in Petaluma, California?
Buzz.
Go for it, Mr. Rock Lobster.
World's strongest man.
That is not the answer, but a good guess. Mr. Uncle Mike, can you steal?
I don't think this is correct, but I'm going to guess it. I'm going to say the Highland Games.
No, and you know, as I
Can I have a second guess?
Sure, why not? With those half points, obviously.
All right, arm wrestling.
All right, I give you. Well, this was. As I read this now, I realize we did this card before, so I'm gonna start putting them in the middle because this was
wrist wrestling.
This was the contentious one that was wrist wrestling. Yes. So I'm gonna start sticking these in the middle so we don't have any confusion.
Wrist wrestling is arm wrestling.
Yeah, I think we had this debate last time.
Yeah, we did this before. Yeah.
All right, yeah.
I'll give you a half point for that. A half point for wrist wrestling.
No.
80s trivia. There we go.
No.
Yes,
You're cheating. You're making me think it's other things, and you're giving him past things with the wrist wrestling. And he said arm wrestling. I immediately said wrist wrestling, which is the correct answer. I deserve the half point, if anything.
Technically,
but reality is you just do it over.
Technically, I gave you both the chance, and he chimed in. And in my view, arm wrestling is wrist wrestling. So we've had this debate.
But
before.
I gave the correct answer right after he did.
It wasn't. It was already over. I already said it was right. I said it was good. All right, there we go, listeners. And you know what? As the benevolent dictator that I am, I now hit the mute button. You can't hear his protests anymore. As we keep on rolling, listeners. Do you agree? Do you disagree? You let me know. What do you folks think? You know, I'm having a hard time seeing the live comments. I'll have the producers tell me what you folks in the live think. As we keep on rolling right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the Trading Block.
Sometimes it's good to be the benevolent dictator, listeners, and this is one of those times. All right, to the land of markets we go. It's another one of those days, listeners, where if you don't like what's going on, just wait. You might have to wait a little longer than 5 minutes. I was saying 5 minutes for a while. That's when we were swinging 100, 150 handles in the SPX like it was nothing. These days, not quite as aggressive. So you might have to wait, let's say 10 or 15 minutes before something else happens. But we're seeing that shape up yet again. As the day kicked off, we were decidedly mixed. We had decent amount of red in the S&P and the Dow, and the NASDAQ was looking a little bit bullish. As the day has progressed, you know, as things tend to be, they don't like seeing a lot of red on the screen. Uncle Mike got together with his Facebook cronies, and they started buying the S&P, and now we're only off a little bit less than 0.15% on the day, hanging out right around that 5,900 level in the S&P right now. The Dow off about 0.5%, and the NASDAQ saying, the heck with all you kids, I'm up 0.2% on the day, and our old pal VIX Cash seems kind of glued right around that 19 handle, 1895 to be precise, but let's just call it 19 for fun. We had a high of 20, almost 20 and a half today, and the low is pretty much close to where we are right now, about 1880. So yeah, an interesting day out there. VVIX still staying frosty, still staying alert. 95, only down a point from where we were last week. And VIX Cash at a 19 is down about a third of a point from where we were this time last week. All right, so a lot to unpack. Let's go around the horn as the half-point victor of our 80s Trivia Challenge. He gets to go first. Mr. Rock Lobster, sir, what is catching your eye out there in today's market action?
Well, I would say that normally if the Ukrainians bombed the Russians in Siberia, isn't I heard they had a drone attack, which knocked out a chunk of the Russian strategic bomber fleet. I don't know if it's true. That's the problem with the news these days. But I did see that. That happened this weekend. Then we had the rare earth snafu where the Chinese aren't playing fair. And there was a lot of So I thought there was a time when you would see that news, and then you'd be like, wow, that's not good. So how I can tell easily that something happened with drones is the stock KTOS, which is a big drone stock's up today. RCAT is another drone stock that's up today. And I've got one more I follow. What is it? AT. I gotta remember the symbol, but it'll come to me here in a minute. But so basically, you would think the market would sell off, but here we are not selling off. And like I tell my students, if we're not going down, where are we going? We're going up. So, and that's what it certainly feels like. So whatever shenanigans, all of a sudden, growth domestic product, they're saying is going to come in at 4%. You know, I might as well, because the government's not stopping spending money, right? So these are all what I would say. Hey, look at the market's going up on the news. No matter what, you can take it however you want, but it ain't going down. Oh, AV is another one. That's another drone company. Has a big drone footprint. That stock's up to 1.5% today. So all I can say is, hey, the traders like it. They're buying stocks up, even though we're not up a lot, just fractionally here, but they like it. It's June. May is done, so you can't sell in May and go away, or you'd be unhappy, right? Because May was probably the best way we've had in 10 years or 20 years or something like that. And there go the airboats by. Hopefully you can't hear them. But
is there
also,
clam piracy?
The 19 handle and VIX.
Is there clam piracy happening live as we speak, sir?
That is live clam piracy going by right now.
We need a clam pirate cam that we could switch to so we could see the clam pirates in action.
I think I'm gonna put a cam on a tree in the cove there, just so we can have people can see the clam pirates going.
We want to see video of you shaking your fist and firing your shotgun at them.
So a very a mixed market, but I have to say, you remember how we used to whisper AI for the last couple of years? Every time, that AI would come in, and all you had to do was say AI, and a stock would go up. And I think that's kind of what we're looking at right now. AVGO earnings are in 3 days. I would argue that's almost bigger than Nvidia earnings at this point, because they also own a $1.1 trillion market cap. What do we got? 6 of them now, 7 of them. So, just saying. I think they're, how the market takes them is going to be, a big indicator going forward. So. That's where it is. We don't go down. We did for a while, but now we don't.
Yeah, you're right. Those magic letters of AI, they are back. They're back, sir. Looking at our top 10 for today. Certainly the whiff of AI floating about out there. Uncle, our chat's all fired up about the wrist wrestling. A lot of them are excited. Some want to see more wrist wrestling. They want to go to a wrist wrestling event. Others are on your side, Uncle Mike. What do we got here? We've got... I can't see this, and my producers are sending these through. They said, Mr. Unlimited said, wow, a half point for wrist wrestling. That's like when the heel has the girl distract the ref. So there you go, Uncle Mike. Some folks are on your side in this debate. But before we get there, really quickly, Uncle Mike, since he invoked 80s wrestling here, I will say, since the last time you and I chatted on the Monday show, I did attend a Saturday night's main event down in Florida. And if you're a fan of 80s old school wrestling, this is the event designed for you. Old school music, old school ropes. The refs wear the same outfits as back in the day. Jesse the Body on commentary. Jimmy Hart was there. The Bushwhacker, the one surviving Bushwhacker, was there. Your team, what are they? Rotunda and Wyndham, what are their name? What's their name?
The U.S. Express.
They were there in their outfits. Yeah, there was all there, Uncle Mike. You would have been a giddy kid in the candy store, sir. It was pretty fun.
Wow, I wish has that been broadcast yet? Or
Yeah,
it live?
that was last, not this past Saturday, but the week before, because I was down in Florida for it.
Oh wow, I'm gonna have to look that one up. Because wrestling's gotten so dirty these days, I just stay away from it. But that might be something to check out for
yeah,
sure.
It's fun just having a little bit of Jesse, being in the same building as Jesse the Body and all those 80s old school guys was kind of fun. I think they do it 4 times a year. There might be a couple left, so check it out. I think the next one's in like August or something.
That would be great.
Pencil it in, Saturday night's main event, fun stuff. But Uncle Mike, sir, since we're talking about fun stuff, what fun stuff is catching your eye in I guess if you're hanging out in the NASDAQ, Uncle Mike type of market?
Well, besides being cheated out of a half a point, it's doing pretty well.
Wrist wrestling coming at you twice, sir.
Oh yeah. With that, looking at the markets today, I think the things that are catching my eye, we have energy. We have of the sectors in the marketplace, XLE is the leading sector in the stock market right now. Up over 1% on the day. Technology is still there, up 0.6%. But I think the main thing that is keeping the market higher is just the price of natural gas and oil. Both are up fairly significantly today. They're both having an up day, I should say. And I think that combined with the precious metals, we have gold up a little over 2% on the day, and we have silver up almost 5% on the day. So we're getting some commodities that are moving some stuff today. And I think that the oil-based stocks are probably the main thing that are, like I said, holding the market up. Well, they are, because they're the leading sector. Now, with that, we're also getting another sell-off in bonds. We have the 10-year down roughly 0.5% on the day. And I don't think interest rates are going away anytime soon, just with everything with which we're seeing. Combine that now when we're having a commodity higher day and a bond lower day, that doesn't make me think that we're going to have lower interest rates in the near future. Now, I could be wrong, but, and don't get me wrong, I would much prefer to pay a much lower mortgage on my house than what I'm paying right now, but from where we're at, it doesn't look like we're going to get any massive bond buyers anytime soon. Now, in the technology space, what you guys were talking about, we do have Meta up almost 3% on the day, so we're getting a little bit of movement there. We also have, on some other things with which we're looking at, Apple is shockingly not doing anything. The market's not moving, Apple's not moving. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see. At some point, Apple's going to break this 200 magnet that it seems to have been having lately. Whether it goes higher or lower is anybody's guess, of course, but it's not going to stay around the 200 level forever. Apple doesn't do that. The other technology stock, or the bigger player in the technology world that I like to follow, is good old Mr. Softy. Microsoft has just had a massive run over the course of the last month and a half. But it's getting closer to its all-time highs again. Microsoft's all-time high, I believe it's 468. We're at 461 today. So Microsoft is up slightly on the day today. But that's another stock to watch to see where it's going to go, what it's going to do. And it's going to be an indicator as to what the market's doing, because it's very difficult to have a bull market if you don't have people buying Microsoft and Apple. So that's what I'm seeing today.
We're seeing a lot out there in the markets. Listen, over the top. Yeah, our chat, over the top, our chat is talking about now. Yes. Have you seen that fine seminal 80s film, Uncle Mike, Over the Top? Perhaps Stallone at his finest, sir?
Oh, no doubt. The world meets nobody halfway. And then they have the theme song, Meet Me Halfway.
Yes, I haven't seen that movie in forever. Now that's what our chat does. It sucks me down the rabbit hole of awesome 80s goodness. That said, yes, that it's a classic. It stands alone. It is a genre unto itself. I can't really think of any other arm/wrist wrestling movies off the top of my head. So it's a classic of one, but a classic nonetheless, listeners. Over the top. Are these markets over the top? Let's find out, listeners. Let's go out to VIX land. And VIX right now is not going over the top, listeners. We are kind of hunkering down and maybe waiting for the next tweet out of DC, listeners, because we ain't doing a heck of a lot in VIX land unless you count 265 as a banger, in which case you are easily impressed. The ADV continuing to move in the wrong direction. down to 688 right now. Again, just kicked off June. This is the time of year where VIX is usually not a banger. So an ADV north of 1 million again wouldn't make much sense. So we'll see. Of course, we are in rarefied air right now. Any tweak could change that. Right now, the big dogs, the AUG 60s, 6 O's, trading 22,000 times. All right, let's look. Let's just take a look, a quick gander, shall we, listeners? What do you think an AUG 60 is trading for in VIX land right now? I'll give you a chance to guess. 3, 2, 1. If you guessed 50 cents, you're the winner chicken dinner for the AUG 60s. 50 cents. It seems kind of hefty to me, but hey, it doesn't mean I want to sell them. But 50 cents? You know, that's nice. If you're looking for some vertical action out there in August, that you can lean on that. Someone out there is willing to pay 50 cents for the AUG 60s, in which case maybe you get a nice little vertical. Live to fight another day out there. Either way, AUG 60s are your huckleberry. A whopping 22,000 of those bad boys, followed by number 2, 17,000 of the June doubles. So possible, I suppose, they are rolling from the June doubles to the AUG 60s. We've seen weirder things. And number 3, 16,000 of the July 90s. Yeah, we are all over the place on a nonsense day. Let's play that same game again, shall we? Really quickly. July 90s. What do you think they're trading for, listeners? Get the little wheels in your head going. Run your own little black shoals in your head. 3, 2, 1. If you said 12 cents, I would accept it. Anywhere from a dime to 15 is the right answer. I'll be nice on that one. Then you are the winner chicken dinner out there. Those are... Let's make a flash poll of that. All right, listeners. So there you go. Flash poll. Do you want to buy or sell the July 90s in VIX for 12 cents? Hit us up. Let us know. Either way, SPY not letting us know a lot today, listeners. Again, it's kind of a quiet start to the week. Not a heck of a lot lighting the world on fire. Unless you get really excited about 4.7 million contracts in SPY, then you're a happy camper, because that's where we're at right now. The ADV, 9.18 million. So we're hanging out almost exactly halfway to that right now. So that's kind of interesting. So I guess on that newer, lower ADV, we're pretty much right there. The S back to the level we used to expect this time of day, 1.75 million. The ADV out there in SPX land right now, listeners, is almost 3.5, about 3.46 million out there. So looking pretty good on that front. Small caps, exactly 800K right now. The ADV, 1.24 million. So they seem well on their way to hitting that. And the Qs, doing the Qs thing, 2.15 million on the tape right now. The ADV, 4.14 million out in Qs land. So not a heck of a lot going on out there. Listen, let's go to the single names. Maybe the single names will spark some interest, light that fire amongst us all, shall we? I always get a little unsettled when we kick things off with our old pal Alphabet Class A. Used to be in the before AI times. When we saw Alphabet Class A on the list, chances are it was a bit of a snooze fest. These days, there's a lot going on out there. AI, all sorts of madness, the core weave drama, everything else. Quantum got in there recently as well. So there's a couple other catalysts that make Class A a little bit more interesting out there. Let's see if it's interesting today, shall we, listeners? Good old Goog Class A, listeners. 213,000 contracts on the tape. So, I shrug my shoulders at that. I would say 250 is where I get a little bit more than shoulder shrug. And 213, not super spicy. Anyway, that gets us to Goog L. 169.25, off about $2.50, or about 1.5% today. So, not a great day for Goog L. Number 9, the saga that is this one continues. This is United Health, ticker symbol UNH, 303.25, up $1.35, or about 0.5%. It's had a range of 301.5 to the downside, 313.5 to the upside. Oh my goodness, $12 almost exactly range. Actually, $11.99 range, if you want to be precise, listeners. My goodness, wow, banger out there for UNH. I'm going out on a limb and say it's a boatload of near-dated, slightly out-of-the-money calls that are dominating that tape out there today. Listen, what do you think? You agree? Disagree? Let's find out together, shall we, listeners? It's the June 320s, so near-dated this week. those are a little bit more out of the money than I was thinking. Followed by number 2, this is more along the lines, 10,000 of the June 310s. And then to split the difference, 8,000 of the June 315s. So I was in the ballpark. Interesting stuff out there. Let's look really quickly. 320 expiring this week. I got a feeling someone might have gotten run over on those earlier this morning when we were trading 313.5. Someone paid $3.34. Some paid almost $3.50 for those bad boys today. $3.73. Ooh, the pain continues. 330, 317. I see a lot of buys for north of $3, listeners. And right now, those are looking no bueno, as the stock is now 303. Then again, this is one of those names you could wait 5 minutes. Have you been in on this UNH saga, listeners? They're on again. They're off again. They're a dumpster fire. No, they're popping hard. Kind of tailor-made for some options action if you could sweat it out there. And there's definitely a lot of sweat going on. UNH number 9, 240. Number 8, to the land of AMDA we go. 249 on the tape for AMD. 113.62, up 290 or about 2.6% today. Number 7, keeping it in the A tech names. This is the Amazonians. 206.06, up 105 or 0.5% out there today. Good for number 7. 253 on the tape. So number 7, we're barely north of 250,000 contracts out there. Number 6, it's Meta, 665 even, up 17.5 $. They whispered those 2 magic letters of AI today, listeners. There you go. 20%. I always said it was good for at least 2%, 3% today in the case of Meta. $20 exactly. They whispered AI. They're conjoining it with the thing that drives all of their profits, which is advertising. They're going to let the bots, they're going to let Ultron create your campaign from start to finish, target it. That doesn't sound like an advertising version of Skynet at all. Either way, the street likes it. Up 19.5 today. Trading 667 and change or 3%. Good for number 6, 293 on the tape. Number 5, let's go to Applied Digital, ticker symbol APLD. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the 2 magic letters of AI dominating our top 10 today. This is the data center name. They're popping 50% today, 50 and a quarter, $3.5 almost, trading 10 and a quarter right now. They scored a good deal with CoreWeave. CoreWeave back in the drama here. $7 billion CoreWeave deal. Does CoreWeave have $7 billion to throw around? Obviously, it's structured a little bit differently out there. That's total revenue they expect over time. But still, a lease deal from CoreWeave. There you go. Some big numbers attached to that big 2 letters, I should say, of AI. Either way, it's number 5, listeners. It's APLD. What could possibly trump that madness out here? Well, it's your old pal, the fruit company, keeping it in A tech names. Apple 201, up 13 cents today. So not exactly a banger out there today. Good for number 5. 317 on the tape. Number 4. Actually, should I say number 3? Number 3. The name Uncle Mike invokes quite a bit as a result of our poll. In fact, you know what, listeners? Might be time in light of everything that's happened since we posted that poll. It wasn't that long ago. Only like a month and change ago, if that long. But back then, we asked you folks, yeah, you couldn't make up your mind. It was April 24th, so month and change ago. Which one you wanted. They're both trading 106 at the time. 50% each. Couldn't make up your mind for Palantir and Nvidia. So you were both split. In which case, maybe it's time to give you another bite at the apple out there. It might be time to revisit that one. I wonder which one you will go for now. Will it be number 3, Palantir, listeners? 132 and a quarter, up about $0.50 today. Good for number 3, 723,000 contracts. Won't be number 2, Tesla, 337.90, off $8.50 or 2.5%. Had about almost $15 range, 348 to the upside today, and almost 333 to the downside today. So quite the range out there in Tesla today. Good for number 2, 1.21 million. And then the big dog, perhaps the other half of our fun poll. It is Nvidia, 137.62, off $2.5 out there today, listeners. Good for the number 1 spot, 1.5 million. Yeah, Palantir 132, Nvidia 137.5. Which way you going right now, listeners? Might be fun. Let's revisit that. Producers, let's make that happen. New question of the week. Hot off the show here. Let it run all week. Nvidia versus Palantir. Last time the folks couldn't make up their mind. Maybe this time. It's the only time you've ever had a poll go out exactly 50-50. That's kind of wild. So let's see, listeners. This time you can make up your mind. Will that, what do we got? About a little over $5, about $5.30 worth of premium to Nvidia. Will that make up your mind for you? We shall find out, listeners. Out there in the world of earnings, things are still popping off. If you like yourselves a little bit like Uncle Mike, you like to do some fashionable shopping, pick up all your clothes at either Ollie's Bargain Outlet or Dollar General, then tomorrow is your day. Uncle Mike's very busy on Dollar Tuesday because, that's his day. And then if you like a little bit of Chinese EVs, maybe you got some Neo action, that's Tuesday as well. Wednesday, Uncle Mike keeping his thrift alive with Dollar Tree on Wednesday, and also Five Below. Now, I have it on good authority that Five Below, a little bit too rich for Uncle Mike's, but they don't have a Five Below in St. Charles. That's a little bit too pricey. Dollar store, though, every other block there's a dollar store out in St. Charles. A Thursday, if you want good eating, I do know for a fact, on the way back from St. Charles, there is a Cracker Barrel, because I did stop at. We don't have those in the city, listeners. So when I see one, it's kind of fun. That chicken, pretty freaking good, if I do say so myself. I've yet to pull the trigger on a $200 rocking chair, maybe one of these days. But Thursday, Cracker Barrel, as well as Victoria's Secret, as well as Broadcom, and they of Cher Yoga Pants infamy, Lululemon. Yes, I will never let that one go. Friday, we've got everyone's favorite ABM. I don't think we've ever talked about them on the network before, as well as another fuel cell name out there. So hot names coming off. Speaking of hot names, it's time to find some. It's time for the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, let's get weird. Let's get wild. Let's see what the options gods have unleashed upon us today, listeners. And you know what? Let's all go out to the realm of PEG, ticker symbol PEG. This is Public Service Enterprise Group, easy for me to say. This is an energy company out of everyone's favorite town, Newark, New Jersey. If you haven't been to Newark, you're just not living. Ticker symbol PSEG, trading $81.86, up about 83 cents or about 1% out there today. And let's see, on the year, what the heck has PEG been up to? It's been a decent year. It was $74.50 a year ago, so they're up 7 1/3 or nearly 10%. That said, they did get higher. They got up to 95 1/4 back in November of last year. So ever since then, it's been mostly down, with the exception of, looks like this past week, they've popped from about $78 up to about 81, 83 out there. So nice little week for them. A decent year, even though it was much better. If you sold in November and got the hell out of Dodge, you're looking a lot better here on this stock. But looks like, speaking of that 95 level or close to it, looks like somebody has that on the brain, Mr. Rock Lobster, because going out to the land of PEG, somebody this morning said, no 95s. How are those bad boys? They got $1.20 at $1.40. They said, you know what, good sir? I shall pay $1.38 1,100 times for the Nov 95s. The stock was a little bit higher, so maybe that colors your view of this trade a little bit, listeners. The stock was 82 1/4. When these went up, you're going to get earnings between now and Nov expiration. The next announcement is July 29th. You probably will get 2 earnings announcements in the lifespan of this trade, so that might color your viewpoint on this as well. Not an explosive vol, pun intended, only about a 22, 23 vol, so not crazy. It is an energy name after all. So, I don't know, kind of a weird one, Mr. Rock Lobster. Are you a fan of some call upside love in PEG, sir?
I was just reading the summary of this, and it sounds like it's a subsidiary of Tony Soprano Enterprises.
Do they collect garbage on the side, sir?
Well, it is a regulated infrastructure company operating in New Jersey, and their transmission and distribution of utilities.
Hey,
I don't know.
You want some of this power? Just put the money in the bank.
I have to say, the one place where I have been putting a few more dollars besides AI and biotech, changing biotech, which I have been totally wrong on so far, by the way. Energy, nuclear energy, regular utility. Like, I think the only thing people are underestimating is how much energy all this stuff's going to take. So maybe somebody thinks this company can make a run back to around $95. I think that was the high, $94. So not normally, I would say you don't really get rich buying calls and utilities, but you're out to November and you could see some action there. I'm not going to say it is within the, let's see, the straddle. Well, here's, the straddle out there is $11. And so the stock would have to move outside of the straddle for those calls to go in the money. Doesn't mean they can't make money in the meantime, but it's not my favorite type of purchase, but it could make somebody money. It could, but they have enough time, but it would have, the AI narrative thing has to take hold pretty hard.
It does indeed. Listen, I guess we're back on that train, Mr. Rock Lobster. It seems like the Chinese kind of derailed it for a little bit, this whole power grab of AI, but I guess it's back again. So maybe that Denison will move again after all this. This
and
madness.
I guess there was another Supreme Court ruling. It kind of, I would say, more in favor. It makes it tougher for the EPA to sort of shut down projects and things like that. That just happened today, actually. Basically, how they can enforce their laws or whatever that stuff is. But supposedly it's going to free up a lot more for nuclear energy, a lot more infrastructure projects in the U.S. to kind of get going. So, to the extent that works, and I think that's why we have the rally in a lot of the oil and gas companies today. So utilities might win.
They might indeed, listeners, as we keep on rolling. It's kind of a sleepy day. That was one of the more interesting trades we could find out there today, listen. It's only 1,100 lots, so we're going to go pay off some of the trades we've been tracking for a while. Let's go back to our April 17th show. Let's go out to Dynatrace, listeners. Ticker symbol DT. This is an American multinational tech company that provides an, easy for me to say, observability platform. Say that one 5 times fast. I remember having a hard time saying that the last time we did this name. Observability. There we go. Crushing it out there, listeners. Either way, ticker symbol DT there, listeners, for Dynatrace. Hanging out right now at 53.76, off about a quarter today, or about 0.5%. On the year, it's kind of been an interesting year. 45.5 a year ago, so they're up 8 1/3 right now. That said, they got as high as $63 back on Valentine's Day before taking it on the chin. April 8th, they bottomed out at 41 1/4. And then we talked about them about a week and change later on April 17th when the stock was $43. We said, hey, May 50s, 5-0s, how are they? They got 20 cents at 35. I said, I'll pay 35 cents. 3,000 times, good sir. And then they came back a few minutes later, said, how are they now? The stock had moved about a quarter. So the market maker's like, we see where you're going with this. We're 35-cent bid now, too. 35 and 45. They say, you know what, good sir? I'll pay 40 for some. So they paid 40 cents for 1,500 more. And then they traded 1,100 more about 30 seconds after that, also for 40 cents. So we have a total of about nearly 6,000 going up on the day, listeners, for prices of 35 to 40 cents. So let's just call it 37.5 cents, all things considered. And interestingly enough, listeners, these worked out. The stock closed on expiration. Remember, the stock was 43 1/4 when they did this. So the 50s were a long freaking way away. The earnings were on May 14th, so that obviously was going to color this trade. We said that at the time. We said, we're not going to know anything about this trade till right before expiration. And that was the case. And then after expiration, stock had a nice pop. It closed at $53.37. By my math, listeners, if you're paying about 37.5 cents and it goes out at $3.37, you made money. $3. Not a bad do. But paper wasn't that patient, Mr. Rock Lobster. They bailed on these about a week later when the stock had rallied about up to nearly $46, about $45.90 is where the stock was. So a nice little run for the stock. I mean, about $2.63, not bad. But also didn't translate to a ton of money. They doubled their money. Don't get me wrong. They paid roughly 37 cents. They sold them for 70 cents, Mr. Rock Lobster, on April 24th. So they doubled their money. Again, I'm never going to get mad at someone for taking a profit. They made about $105,000 on that first print. So obviously not bad. If you add up all of the rest that they did, it's going to be more than that, obviously. But obviously nowhere near the $3 that they also could have made, Mr. Rock Lobster. I mean, if you're buying calls that are nearly $7 out of the money with about a month to go, you need a Herculean move in the stock to make some money. They got a nearly $3 move. That's a pretty good move. They doubled their money. They were lucky that it happened early enough. They didn't have to wait for the earnings, so they got a nice little pop out of it. If they had waited until earnings, chances are these calls would have eroded to not much at all, and they probably would have been able maybe to scratch them. So an interesting one, Mr. Rock Lobster. They doubled their money, but they also left a lot of money on the table, sir. What do you think?
Yeah, but I mean, a win's a win. And you know, you're buying 30-cent calls, like, you know, and I would say not crazy volatile stock. I think they you know, you want to be happy there. I mean, the stock hasn't done much the last month, and up until we had this, you know, the craziness in March and April, there wasn't a lot of action in there. So I think they should be happy with the double they got. Who wouldn't be happy with a double?
Who wouldn't be happy with a double indeed? Not Uncle Mike. He's triple or nothing. We call him behind the scenes. Listeners, let's see if we can squeeze one more in for you here. Let's go out. We're talking about power. Uranium's had a rough year, starting to have a little bit better time, but they've had a rough year. The other EM has also been having a rough year, listeners. It's lithium. Let's go out to our April 10th show. We talked about Sigma Lithium Corp, ticker symbol SGML, SGML. Let's see. A year ago, it was trading $14.50. They've pretty much come for it. It was trading $12.14 in March, so it was down about $2.50 or so. And then it started falling off a cliff after March, and it kept falling. When we talked about it on the show on April 10th, the stock was $7.83. But you know what, Mr. Rock Lobster? They held out hope that the EMs would pop back to life. I think they chose the wrong EM. They said, May 10s, how are they? They got a dime at 25 cents. I said, I will pay 25 cents, good sir, 3,000 times with the stock at $7.83. Mr. Rock Lobster, the stock ended up closing in the wrong direction at $6.58. All these calls were still open. They never really had a chance. So they're out about $75,000, Mr. Rock Lobster. And the stock since then has continued to plummet. It's down to $4.60. It's down $2 more since expiration. So lithium, sir, not exactly looking great this year. What are your thoughts on these calls going to die, sir?
Yeah, you know, again, weird thing. You would think the lithium demand, is it going away? Is it disappearing? You know, Elon Musk saying sun's the only power we're going to have forever as far as humans go. You know, the only one with really infinite energy as far as, and yet lithium stocks are all in the absolute basement. This company, though, is on a one-way trip to Palookaville. I mean, it's $4.60. It was a $40 stock in 2023. So SGML, I don't know. I guess it can get cheaper, but it's down 90%. That's probably a pretty good price to hop in, but it's not good enough for this call buyer who just has nothing but sadness on their options.
Nothing but sadness and woe. Is that still the case for Uncle Mike? He's kind of been stewing in his juices for most of the show. Let's see if he's recovered as we head on into the strategy block.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the Strategy Block.
All right, Mr. Uncle Mike, sir. The floor is yours. You got about 10, 11 minutes to explain your strategy for going over the top in arm wrestling.
It was a great movie. I think in honor of that today, what I'm going to do is if I have to make any trades today, which I think I'm going to have to do something after the show, I think I'm going to put my hat on, and then right before I hit the send button to place the trade, I'm going to turn my hat backwards just to get my attitude right, like Sylvester Stallone did in that movie. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
So today I want to talk about. Oftentimes, I am talked about as the perma-bull on the show, which I am, but I'm also long-term bullish, short-term cautious. And so I'm going to have to, I can't give the exact strike prices because there's several of them, and plus my compliance doesn't like it when I do that type of thing. But at the beginning of the year, when we were hedging our portfolios, we bought put option on our hedged portfolios, not all of our portfolios, but on our hedged ones. We decided to just buy a straight 1-year put option about 5% below where the price of the S&P was. And it's a little bit pricey to do that. But what we decided to do on that was, number one, we felt that the pricing was actually somewhat fair for where it was. But number two, what we wanted to do was wait to see if we were going to get some type of crazy VIX event along with a market drop. We did last August. And we were thinking that something like that could possibly come this year. And it did, of course, in early April. And so when that happened, what we did was we actually sold a put option against the put that we bought, roughly 25% below where the current marketplace was on the S&P 500. And our philosophy was that the VIX had spiked. And just because the VIX is at 60 doesn't mean it's going to stay 60. It typically doesn't when it does that type of thing. But what we did was we were able to collect some very juicy, far out of the money put premium. And so we decided that if the market were to continue to drop, we could look our clients in the eye and just say, hey, we at least protected you from a 25% downturn in the market. If the market does go down 30 or 40%, yes, of course, that's possible, but we were able to protect a very nice chunk of it. I think it actually came out to closer to 30%. It was something really ridiculous. Now, with that being said, the VIX came back down to earth, so to speak, and markets are back to even being positive on the year. What we've done recently is that crazy out-of-the-money put option that we sold, we bought back. And not necessarily because we believe that we're afraid of the markets going down that far again or having another thing, but we're doing this because we want to be responsible, of course. But number two, let's say for some reason we have more craziness in this marketplace. Now, not trying to get political, but if there ever is a time to expect the unexpected, we talked about this on the show last week, I've personally never been trying to expect the unexpected any more than I am in the 20 years I've been doing this than I am right now. And so by pulling that out of the money put off the table, we got close to 75% of the premium out of it that we originally sold. So we're like, we'll just leave the remaining 25% on the table. But number one, if for some reason the market does that again, we're going to be in a great spot because we're going to be pretty well hedged. But number two, what we're really looking for is if we do have a possibility, which we do have a possibility of, is a major VIX event like we had in early April, or a major market downturn like we had in early April, or both. Should that happen, we're now ready to sell another put or take some type of action to put us back into the position that we were in before and sell even more premium and reduce the overall cost of the hedge we bought back in January. So with that being said, the moral to the story today is make sure that, number one, you have a plan, but number two, not only can a down market affect put prices, rising implied volatility can, and that's an example with which it did for us a few weeks ago. And that's the strategy block for today.
All right, listeners, that's going to do it for the strategy block. Now it's time to go around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, listeners, as we're coming into the end of the show, we've got, again, that worm turning effect continuing NASDAQ up about a quarter. S&P only off about 0.05%. The Dow still off about 0.45%. And VIX cash hanging out still right around 1890. So S&P climbing a little bit. But everything else kind of treading water. VIX cash still hanging out close to that level where it was at the start of the show. We also put out a fun couple of flash polls for you. One, the question of the week. We asked you about those July 90s in VIX for 12 cents. Are you a buyer or seller or a risk mitigated seller as part of a vertical? 53.8% of you want to buy them, and 23.1% each either would sell them or sell them as part of a vertical. And then Uncle Mike, this will bring a smile to your face. We've got a return of our poll from about a month and change ago. It was April 24th. And actually, I guess, about almost a month and a couple of weeks. And we asked you folks, last time, Palantir versus Nvidia, both around 106, I believe. Exactly 50-50. You couldn't make up your mind. So we're going back to the well. Gun to your head. You got to choose. This time, things are a little bit different, though. Nvidia's right around 138. Palantir around 132. Which way you going? And that little bit of a difference, that roughly $6 difference, seems like it's taking it in the early offing. 75% going Nvidia, only 25% going for Palantir. We've got our good buddy pro member Age. I think he's in the chat there too, saying he's much more bullish on Nvidia right now than Palantir. Sounds like you folks are right now in the chat. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what are your thoughts? Return of Nvidia versus Palantir. What else is catching your eye, and what are you watching in the markets till our next show?
Well, I love this because I own both of those. Excuse me, I have people in both of those, and these are phenomenal collar stocks. I absolutely love the risk reward with the collar that they offer. So I like the fact that you're pinning them against each other. You're creating competition because the CEOs of both companies heard this, and they're like, I definitely don't want to be a loser on the option block, that's for sure. So I think this is great. With that being said, some other things with which I'm watching, continuing to watch bonds. We're not going to get lower interest rates unless we get bond buyers, and we are not getting a lot of those lately. So continuing to watch that, seeing if the S&P can hold above this 5881 level, because that's the the close of 2024, seeing if we can stay positive on the year, and watching silver, seeing if that can make a new 10-year high.
There you go. And Mr. Rocklops, the same question for you, sir. What are you keeping an eye on till your next appearance?
Well, I guess, VIX, SPY, we got AVGO earnings coming out. And also keep an eye on those metals just because they keep going higher, which is like an inflation type thing. And at this point, we just want to see if we can kind of break out of this range we've been in for a week. And if VIX can actually move around a little. It's just basically saying, hey, the market's going to hurry up and go nowhere for a while. So I'd like to see it. I'd like to see something change on that front.
And if folks want to see something change in their trading, where should they go? What should they do, sir?
Yes, an excellent place to go is optionpit.com, 888-TRADE-01. Come to Option Pit and earn while you learn. Learn how to trade these option things if you want to do it all by yourself.
And Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, if folks want to go over the top with you, where should they go? What should they do besides putting on their hat backwards?
stcharleswealth.com. Come and make an appointment with me. Have a conversation. Would love to talk with any of our listeners if you are looking for a financial advisor who is in the option space.
And Uncle Mike, sir, I know you took a little bit of umbrage at the start of the show, but you're having some fun things to put a smile back on that face. Return of your Palantir Nvidia, of course, talking about over the top. And I just got to notice, sir, your exclusive prizes for winning our 80s trivia challenge last year are out for delivery as we speak. So the second we get off this, if you race home, you might be able to beat the delivery man to the door, sir. Are you excited?
I cannot wait.
Did that put a smile back on your grumpy face, sir?
Never see.
Well, I mean, it's a smile, but yet with motivation to know that at least in 2025, not only do I have to overcome the mighty rock lobster, I have to overcome the official who calls himself a benevolent dictator as well. Oh my, am I ready?
The benevolent dictator who you're a hard man to look for prizes for, Uncle Mike, but I think we found just the exclusive item. That was very difficult to obtain, I might add. Sold out everywhere. I didn't realize it existed. But nonetheless, it is beating a path, or I should say, they are beating a path to your door as we speak. So look forward to that. Listeners, if you want to win fun prizes, stay tuned. We'll be giving away our Pro Trading Crate in a little bit. If you want to check out how to win that, theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more. I'll be back in a little bit with our good buddy, Mr. Greg Magadini, to talk all things crypto vol. Spoiler, there's a lot of it, so it should be a fun time. And then back again with our usual array of content till we're back again next week, another episode of The Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.